Alexi. Hey there, how are you?
Hey Cliff, how are you? Long time no see.
Good, good. Just wanted to thank you so much for taking the time to work with me on this podcast in order to build my brand. Cliff is
Mm.
my agent on Instagram and YouTube. And more importantly, to help folks with their real estate interest and provide some free insights and perspectives in the marketplace to help them achieve their goals. Telling your story will definitely, especially help first-time home buyers. So thank you very much. And without further ado, tell us a little bit about yourself, your age, where you're from, and the industry you work in.
Hey Cliff, so a little bit about me. My name is Lex. My age, I turned 25 not too long ago. I'm originally from Florida, been, here and there, but I've been in the metro Atlanta area since like my freshman year of high school, and the industry I work in is IT.
Excellent. Sounds good. So, how long have you been renting and why did you decide to purchase a home?
I was renting for about 3 years. That wasn't consecutive back-to-back years. First time I moved out, I think I was 19. After that year, I moved back in, stayed home for maybe a year or two, and then moved back out with a roommate, and we stayed there for 2 years. That last year of our lease, I decided to go ahead and buy the home that I'm currently in. And basically, the reason why I decided to purchase a home versus rent is, I was just ready. I was ready to do it. And I kind of had a personal goal of mine to buy a home before 25. And, I did that. Also, more of my reasoning for it was, rates are slowly but surely starting to come down now. Um, my reasoning was I didn't want rates to like come down or even reach almost like pre-pandemic levels or pandemic levels when it was super low. I don't think we'll see that again. Because I knew if rates got that low, the competition would skyrocket.
Mm,
So I kind of just wanted to get the house, while I have a semi decent rate for the time right now, and my closing cost assistance. So to me, it just made sense.
absolutely. And there's definitely an inverse relationship between interest rates and the selling prices of homes. And the way that works is the lower the interest rates, typically home prices go up. When interest rates go up, home prices typically come down. So there's an inverse relationship there. And I think you were at that moment where the rates was just starting to come down and home prices hadn't started to creep up yet. So that was kind of a good window to be in to be a buyer. Although there was a lot of sellers out there that weren't selling high quality options. So it took us a little while to figure out where to go and the direction to go in. So once you decided that you wanted to purchase a home, what was some of the first things that you decided to do? How did you put your ducks in a row?
Me putting my ducks in a row, first of all, started with, I like to say all the time, Zillow doom scrolling. So just spending hours at a time on like Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, all the, realty sites, and just kind of looking at what are my options and what is my affordability. Because, when interest rate is high, it eats at your affordability.
Mm, mhm.
Seeing what is affordable for me, what is, decent homes. And as you said before, there was a lot of sellers not selling, good homes, and the price just didn't reflect it. For example, that squatter home we saw. Oh,
Mm.
oh my
I'll never
God.
forget that.
I won't forget that either. And besides that, a lot of it was just kind of like lender shopping. I feel like during the house buying process, people don't really lender shop. They may get like a quote or two, and it's like, oh, okay, we'll go with this person.
Hmm.
When you're lender shopping, you really want to research and see what first time home buyer programs may be available to you if you're a first time home buyer. And even if you've bought your first home before, first time home buyer, I think the criteria is you haven't bought a home within the past 3 years. So
Mhm.
even if you've bought a home before, like
Mhm.
5 years ago, and you're looking to buy now, you could still qualify for some of those first time home buyer programs. And I just always encourage people to put a lot of research into that, which lender is going to be giving me the best rates, the best incentives. Are they going to contribute to closing costs? Are they going to give me grants? These are all things that you have to take into consideration.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I recognized about you when we first started talking, before we even started shopping for homes, that you had a good sense of financial acumen, that you thought a lot about the numbers, if you will. So we definitely are going to dive into that and get into that a little bit more as we go on. After determining that, uh, getting your ducks in a row in terms of the first things that you were going to do, and that one of the things that you mentioned there was the lender, shopping the lenders and getting your ideas, as to what's being offered in the marketplace financially, with regards to rates. Did you have a vision of what kind of home you wanted to buy, and how did that vision compare to what you actually saw in the marketplace at that time?
Um, so as you remember, I was kind of really determined on getting a single family home, with some decent yard space, preferably no HOA, but has, like, people maintain their homes. That quickly changed once I realized my budget was kind of restricted just because of my rate.
Mhm.
Um, you know, Again, budget, the interest rate eats at affordability. So I wasn't really open to townhomes at the time, but once I started actually viewing these single family homes with you, like within my price range, I was like, I don't know if these are worth it. Sometimes the home itself may be nice, but the neighborhood, people are not maintaining their homes. So, I don't want to I don't want to drive into my neighborhood and see that. Or, let's say I want to sell the house in the next 5 years. If folks in the neighborhood are kind of keeping their houses dilapidated, that will affect, my resale value.
Absolutely.
Um, but, I eventually end up stumbling upon this townhouse, and I am quite satisfied.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think one of the things that you were looking at was also the landscaping aspect of, single family homes, and how that would impact, because there's a cost associated with maintaining, yard space and so forth and so on. Was that a factor for you?
Absolutely. Do you remember that one house that we saw? Very nice home, indicator, no HOA. The
Mhm.
house was very nice. I could tell that the owner maintained it well. It would still just need some renovating and so on and so forth. But her land space was just vast. And I remember
I
asking
remember
her,
that
like,
place.
I don't know
Mhm.
if I want to go ahead and maintain this,
Mhm.
or if I want to pay for all this maintenance. Because, like, especially, it wasn't even in the backyard where you can hide, if your grass is getting tall or not. It was in the front. It was a lot. So I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't know if I want to maintain this. And then it was just a wee bit over budget. So, I had to look in another direction.
Sounds good. Okay. Let's go back to the beginning. To the point where we met for the first time. I wasn't the first agent that you met with. And this was right around the time we did our buyer consultation. So, why did you decide to work with me? And what did you think of the buyer consultation aspect of things?
Okay. Why I decided to work with you, how I ended up working with you was just kind of on a whim. The lender I was using at the time just assigned me to you. I'm like, okay, I'll meet up with him. I really did like the fact that we met. We first of all we had a phone call, but we met in person, face to face for the buyer consultation.
Hmm.
And when we had the buyer consultation at that Starbucks, I was like, okay, this is my agent. This is this is my realtor. This is who I'm going to use. It was super informative. You went through the pages step by step. So as we moved further along into the home buying journey, I wouldn't be confused. Or, I wouldn't be like, well, what is this? You explain like the commission to me. You explain like the different documents I would be signing. You went pretty in depth, and you still, kept it concise. But I was like, okay, this is definitely who I'm going to use. I did have a first agent. She was a really nice lady. But just to even show me a home, she had to lock me into an agreement, and I don't know if I felt comfortable with that. I did like the policy that you had in time, that you had, doing at the time. I apologize.
Sure. Understood.
I did like that, 5-home policy, and I thought that was pretty fair.
Gotcha. The DOJ as of August 17th changed things a little bit. And now they're requiring us to actually have exclusive buyer broker agreements signed prior to showing a home. The process in which we worked, where we met and we had a discussion, the way that's going to look now is we'll meet, have a discussion, get to know each other, and then basically, if you feel comfortable signing the exclusive buyer broker agreement at that time, then we would go ahead and do that. If not, then what we would do is say, hey, think about it. Let me know. I'm here if you have any questions in the meantime. Feel free to pick my brain. I'm here to help you with your journey here. And then when you're ready, then you can go ahead and sign the agreement, and then we can start looking at homes. So it's changed a little bit because the regulations of real estate have changed a little bit. Let's dive back into that aspect of shopping lenders, because I think that's very important, especially for new first-time home buyers. And you vigorously shopped your lenders. Most of the clients that I've worked with, usually what they'll do is they'll find a lender, get approved, and they're like, okay, well, I got approved. I'm not going to go through shopping anymore. I'm good to go. Let me focus on the house. But you were able to walk and chew gum at the same time. You were able to say, okay, I'm going to shop the lenders as well as shop the houses. And both aspects are very important in order to get the best overall deal. How did you figure all of that out, and what motivated you the most in that regard?
No problem. As with most things, I am a compulsive researcher. For example, when I bought this home, I just went ahead and bought shades because I, went over it for months. Like, does this match my color scheme? So something as small as that, like, I'll obsess over. So definitely this, I put in so much research as what I should look for, what are good lenders. Lots of good resources for me actually was Reddit. There's a subreddit called First Time Home Buyer. So just seeing people's, their journeys, what they did to get into their home, their processes, some hardships, some bumps that they had along the way, was super helpful to me. And, just reading up, researching articles, different blogs, things of that nature. But there was just a lot of research that went into it. Different programs, especially with the different programs available, like the grants, the first-time home buyer programs, first-time home buyer programs, especially as they pertain to the state of Georgia. A lot of work, a lot of research went into that. A lot of, I like to say, like, cold calling. How I got, my lender, how I got Emily. I saw she was a part of a first-time home buyer program. Her name was on there for either Georgia Dream or one specific to like DeKalb County. And I called the branch that she worked at because I didn't see her contact information. I eventually got into contact with her, and that's how she told me about the program that I use, which was not Georgia Dream or the DeKalb the cab one at all. So just a lot of just applying. And I think people forget with lender shopping as well. When they put your credit for a mortgage, I think, fact check me on this if I'm wrong. I think within what is it, like a 30, or there's a certain day period where you can pull it as much, lenders can pull it as much as you want, and it wouldn't count, it wouldn't negatively affect your credit, is what I'm trying to say. So I really took advantage of that.
Right.
You know, I took it a step further. I would email lenders a loan estimate sheet. I'm like, hey, this is what your competitor is offering me. Can you match this? I would suggest people do that. The loan estimation sheet that you get from a lender saying, oh, this is what your payment may look like. This is a rate that we may be able to get you, because it's an estimation sheet. Nothing is ever final until you're on that closing table.
Right.
But it just gives you an idea. I would send it to, I would take a loan estimation sheet from one lender and send it to another lender and say, hey, this is what your competitor is offering. Can you do anything better? Or do you guys have a certain first-time home buyers education program? Not education program, a first-time home buyers program I can use? Will you assist me with my closing costs? Will you give me a grant? If you give me a grant, do I have to repay it? These are all questions that I researched and I asked meticulously to different lenders.
Wow, that is like next level research and next level shopping. So you got your shopping list for lenders from where? From the Reddit, or how did you do that?
It wasn't from the subreddit. It was just there were certain lenders on there that people said, oh, I'm using such and such lender. You know, or I've had a good experience with this lender, or I've had a bad experience with that lender. So I kind of took that into consideration. But as far as me finding programs, I would start most of my Google searches with like first time home buyers program, lenders, and just kind of go from there, or home buying grants, lenders, and just kind of go from there. And they do have services where you can give them your information and they get you in contact with a whole bunch of different lenders. It's like a free service. It's like similar to when you're shopping for car insurance, you give them your information and they give you a whole bunch of insurers that may be good for you. So you can do things like that as well.
So how did you determine which lender to give your personal information to? And did you feel comfortable giving your personal information to the different lenders? Did you talk to them first?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so you talked to them first.
Absolutely.
And if you
even
got
the
feeling,
big
then
name,
you gave them your additional information.
yeah, even like the big name banks, like one of the lenders I applied to was Wells Fargo. I spoke to him on the phone. That the mortgage advisor, I spoke to him on the phone. You know, their line is secure. I just, you know, I made sure it wasn't anything shady, anything weird. So yeah.
Excellent. That sounds good. So how much of an advantage do you feel that research and effort helped in regard to where you ended up getting to? Do you feel like, do you kind of get what I'm asking you? Like,
yeah, I
how
think
much did it pay off, if you will?
I think it made a world of difference. You know, I'm making one of the biggest financial purchases of my life thus far. If I can't put in a little extra 1 to 2 hours after work to research something, you know, I should be doing that. So to me, it paid off. You know, I'm in the home that I want. I didn't have to bring a boatload of money to the closing table because I had my grants. So to me, it definitely paid off. And I would encourage other homeowners, future homeowners and prospective buyers to do the same. Absolutely.
I think that is The main essence of our discussion is that, and I think that you killed that part of the process. Not only that, you were vigorously shopping for the style home that you wanted as well. So the way you balanced both, I thought was exceptional. And for a first-time home buyer, man, you killed it, Alexia. You killed it. You really did. You did an amazing job. So how would you describe your experience as a first-time home buyer? How would you describe that? And how did you feel about that experience?
It was a little bit nerve-wracking. It was a wee bit stressful. And the reason I say that is because the time constraint I was under.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
then
You were you were at the end of your lease, right? Or nearing the end of your lease.
Yeah, I was basically nearing the end of my lease. So trying to find a home, fits kind of what I wanted, but not also just rushing into a home and buying anything willy-nilly.
Right.
So, yeah, it was a little bit nerve-wracking too because it's such a big change. It's like, wow, I have a house, like I have a mortgage, I don't have rent, like things like that. And I think that too may, kind of dissuade people, like just like the nerves of it all, just thinking about it like, okay, I'm responsible for this house, the kind of like permanence that has.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, you'll get over that quickly.
Really?
You'll get over that really quickly. I find like, and I'm happy with my house. I'm very happy.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So what advice besides the shopping lender would you give first-time home buyers? What sort of other things that you discovered that you didn't really realize you would have to deal with? And what advice would you give them in that regard?
I think I'm very good on the technical research side of things. So as far as like finding programs, the financing side of things. But what I would say really helped is researching when you walk through a home, what are some red flags to look for? And that's not something I put as much research into, but you, Clif, it's the reason why, like, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go view this home real quick, but I want Clif to meet him come another day so he can see the little things that I want to see. I would go to some of these homes, I would think it looks good, and you're like, the roof looks a little old, or I see a hole in right here, or this siding is messed up. This looks like it might be a possible like rat infestation. You have so much knowledge about the actual like longevity of a home. Something else that you also kind of like preach was like resale value. Like, you may want to think about your resale value in this area, what's coming in this area, if it's going to change. These are things that I think I was so obsessed with the financing because I'm budget conscious.
Very.
I'm budget conscious.
Right.
I was so obsessed with the financing that I almost didn't forget, but I was so microscopic, and you had a macro kind of scopic view of the house, and you pointed out all this to me. And I find that a lot of realtors don't do that. I had a friend home shopping at the same time. She ended up buying like a new build construction. But I would tell her, I'm like, yeah, me and Cliff are going to blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I really like when Cliff comes to me because he just sees a whole bunch of stuff that I do not see. I'm like, does your realtor do that with you? Like, do a full walk around, inspect so-and-so, look at the HVAC. She's like, not really. Like, she takes note of it, but like not as deep as it sounds like your realtor is doing. So I think that was awesome.
It's so important to me that my clients, because there's, like you said, there's just a ton of stuff to be aware of. And the client and myself are a team. And when we're both working together for your best interest, that's when you end up in a good place. And the worst thing that can happen is that you buy a home and then all of a sudden you have this list of things to deal with that just came up And inevitably, there's always going to be something to deal with. You know, it's very hard to find the perfect home. So you really have to be careful. And a lot of my clients will say, why are you talking me out of this house? Well, because I'm trying to protect you from situations that could cost you money after you close, because after you close, it's too late. You know, once you close, it's yours. So
you did that with a couple of houses for me, and I am so thankful. I am so thankful.
My pleasure. And you're happy with your place, and you're happy with your decisions. And that is what makes my day in real estate, is when my client is ultimately happy with the decision that they made and the purchase that they made. Man, I am so happy for you, and I am so grateful that you did this with me, and I hope that it will help. I know it will, because your suggestions and your approach to buying a home as a first-time home buyer was perfect. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it. Any last thoughts before we wrap things up?
Any prospective buyers kind of like on the fence wanting to buy a home, I would definitely call Clif. I think Clif as your realtor is a good decision. I'm not just saying that to say that.
Thank you.
You know, I think it's a good decision, and you know, good luck to anybody trying to start their home buying journey.
And on that note, also, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that endorsement. Purchasing real estate is one of the ways that you build wealth and prosperity, okay, in the long run. So you are on your way to building wealth and prosperity just by the nature of your analytical side, by the nature of your budget consciousness side. You're one of the up and comers, so you're gonna be out there. So I'm gonna still be in the real estate game when you get ready to buy your $1 million home. So I'll be looking forward to working with you.
I gotcha, Clif.
All right, thanks so much. Have a great rest of the day, and thank you for your time.
Bye-bye, Clif.